What is up, ladies and gents? You know what time of day it is. It's XCN time, and in today's video we're going to be talking all about XCN here. We're going over the recent news here on XCN. We're going to be talking about the price action that we are seeing, and I'll be giving you guys a price prediction for the next few days and weeks, so be sure to stay tuned for all of that. Of course, if you are a new viewer, then welcome to this channel. If you do like this sort of content, hit that like button and subscribe for more. If you are a returning viewer, as always, welcome back to the channel. It's great to see you all here. So diving straight into this video, because we do have a lot to discuss. First and foremost, I just want to touch over the crypto summit and what we basically learned from that. Of course, I can imagine you guys are pretty tired about hearing from this crypto summit, but we're just going to touch over why I personally think this is going to be bullish here for XCN. And so after this crypto summit, there were a lot of mixed feelings. Of course, some people, particularly Bitcoiners out there, were bullish after this meeting. There were a lot of people that were also quite disappointed. Of course, I can understand both sides. There was not that much talk of crypto in general. It was mostly about Bitcoin. There was no mention of tax breaks or anything of the like as well on crypto. And the Bitcoin strategic reserve that they had announced was only going to be using Bitcoin from seized assets. Of course, they have left the door open for the US government to acquire more Bitcoin at no cost to taxpayers. But for the time being, the US government is only making the reserve via Bitcoin that they already own. And so, of course, in some ways, this summit missed a lot of people's expectations, but this tweet that I saw here on Twitter perfectly sums it up. I've retweeted it onto my own Twitter. We have a Bitcoin strategic reserve, a pro-Bitcoin president, a pro-Bitcoin SEC, a pro-Bitcoin treasury, a secretary who owns 1 billion USD of MicroStrategy, and this is the mood. Of course, this is monumental for crypto. The United States of America are basically legitimizing the whole industry, and there's still fear in the markets. I do believe this is a complete mistake. Of course, this is going to be very bullish for crypto. And of course, what's happening right now really reminds me of what happened to Bitcoin, basically when the first ever Bitcoin ETF launched. Of course, if we go back onto Bitcoin here, you guys can see that after the ETF occurred, if we get that vertical line here on the chart, we actually saw a very similar story happen. The ETF, after the news, we initially saw quite a bit of sell-off here on Bitcoin. Of course, that lasted roughly a week here where the prices were in a downtrend on Bitcoin. But as you can see, shortly after the general sell-off, we started to see a beautiful rally here on Bitcoin, basically doubling the price over the next few months. And what we are seeing today really reminds me of what we saw back at the start of 2024 with the Bitcoin ETF news. Of course, the reason that the prices drove up was because institutions started buying up this ETF like crazy. Of course, more investors in Bitcoin meant more holders, and the prices shot up accordingly. And what I think we're going to see here on Bitcoin is general slump in the markets over the next week or two. And of course, after a certain point, maybe where we hit the support on Bitcoin, we start to rise up and we start the next leg up here on Bitcoin that could take the prices much higher. Of course, I think this because the USA has set an example of the Bitcoin strategic reserve. Of course, this legitimizes Bitcoin even more. We're going to see more players come into Bitcoin. We'll see other countries start to develop their own Bitcoin strategic reserve. Of course, the USA already had their Bitcoin from criminal activity that they seized, but many other countries don't have this same level of Bitcoin. So the only way they can buy it is through the open market. So we're going to see that. And right now, the expectation is low. Of course, we're seeing fear in the markets. The expectation is that the US won't be buying any extra Bitcoin. But imagine if they announce a way to acquire extra Bitcoin. That would be very, very bullish. And I think it will contribute to the next leg up here on Bitcoin. Now, why on earth then should we care at XCN if Bitcoin is going to be going up? Well, basically, let's go back onto the XCN chart where we belong, and let's add Bitcoin onto this XCN chart. And what you'll see here is a very nice correlation between them. Of course, if we look at the correlation between XCN and Bitcoin throughout 2023 onwards, you can see that every time Bitcoin has started to pump, so Bitcoin is this pink line here on the charts, you can see that XCN has also pumped, but a little bit later. So Bitcoin started its rally here at the end of 2023. After a few weeks, we started to see these crazy pumps here on the XCN price. So as soon as Bitcoin does a rally in the upwards direction, XCN also likes to follow, but with a delay. The same thing can be said for February 2024. Again, Bitcoin made its rally there after the ETF news up to 70,000. We saw XCN do something very similar, a nice pump in the upwards direction there, nearly a 4x in the same time frame. Again, if we look at what Bitcoin has done now with that next rally up, so remember at the end of 2024 when President Trump got nominated, we saw a massive rally here on Bitcoin. Of course, XCN in the same time frame, as you guys can see, also did a nice little rally there. And finally, with that final pump that we saw here in Bitcoin, we saw XCN absolutely fly. So as you can see right now, markets have been dumping. Everyone who's been watching the XCN chart knows that, but also Bitcoin has just been in a general downtrend. But this downtrend, guys, will not last forever. It could last for a few more days, it could last for a few more weeks, but I am confident that we're going to see that next leg up in Bitcoin, something like this on the charts. And for XCN, maybe we see something like this where we're flat, for example, for a few more weeks, and then as Bitcoin starts to pump from this news, of course, what's happened to Bitcoin is absolutely historic, just like the Bitcoin ETF launch. And with that pump in Bitcoin, we are also going to see XCN start to take a turn for the better here. And I truly, truly believe that. The only thing that I think is required is patience. Of course, this may not happen tomorrow, this may not happen next week, but at some point we are going to see a pump in the upwards direction. And just remember that these pumps here on XCN, let's just remove the BTC chart so you guys can clearly see that these pumps here on XCN happen a lot quicker than these downtrends. Once we start to see that reversal here in direction on Onyxcoin, these pumps are going to happen quickly, and it could erase this whole downtrend that we've seen for the past 2 months here on XCN in the space of hours and days. Just remember what I said in my previous videos as well. If you bought anywhere here, for example, back in March 2024, you would have had to wait 6 months of just complete downtrend here on Onyxcoin before you even saw your investment go back to break even. Of course, if you managed to be this patient, if you waited 6 months here on Onyxcoin, you would have had to hold through this whole minus 70% on your portfolio here on Onyxcoin. You would have had to not sell after you saw the price 2x, and then only then would you have reaped the rewards of this 20x pump that we saw here on Onyxcoin. The same is happening right now here on the price. Of course, people who bought at the start of February 2025 there are going to be in this same situation where you're going to have to hold through these downturns here on the price, because at some point, like I say, it's all going to be worthwhile. So I'm truly, truly optimistic here on XCN. Of course, let's just discuss what we're seeing here on the charts for the shorter term holders and the longer term holders. Of course, like I've said, we've been in this general downtrend here on Onyxcoin. Of course, this was the resistance we've been looking at now for the past month and a half. Let's just go on the 1 hour chart so we can see that in some more detail. We've got this setup here. We've also got these supports here on Onyxcoin, very strong supports here in blue. Of course, we are looking at this as a potential support. Now, this is actually just a little bit lower than it was in yesterday's video. It's now at 1.37 cents. Of course, first and foremost, this triangle. Of course, first and foremost, we have this triangle looking pattern here on Onyxcoin. We're still watching this, and this is still valid in my opinion. The deadline for this triangle, as you guys can see, is the 11th or 12th of March, because that's where the resistance and the support close in. Of course, Onyxcoin has to make its mind up by this point. Is it going to break above this resistance or below the support? Now, if we break above this resistance, so the price over the next few days does something like this, then we could see the potential result of this triangle met. And of course, that gives us on Onyxcoin a very, very bullish target. This target is the first test of support and resistance, and we could be looking at a price target here on Onyxcoin of up to 4.4 cents. That's 192% trade if we see a breakout to the upside. Of course, if you are looking for a great place to trade this breakout, then look no further than the MEXC exchange. This is the exchange that I use for my trading because they have some of the lowest trading fees. They don't require KYC to get started, and for a very limited time, they're giving every new user who signs up using the link down below a free $20. So if you want to make use of this offer, click in that link down in the description, fill out your details. It takes less than a minute to do so. Deposit some fiat or crypto into your account, and they'll give you that $20 straight away. On top of that as well, they have futures for XCN where you can trade XCN with up to 20 times leverage. So again, if you want to try that out, click in the link in the description down below. As always, guys, Thank you so much for your support. Back into this video. Of course, this is the bullish scenario that I'm watching. Of course, another one that I want to show you guys as well, just for completeness, is this price target here. This could also be some sort of falling wedge. So I'm also looking at this level as a potential take profit level at 3.1 cents. Now, of course, just something I've also noticed that we could be seeing in the shorter term as well is some sort of double bottom pattern. If this level holds at 1.37 cents, then we could be seeing this potential pattern here in play. As you guys can see, we've got a clear double bottom here on this. We've got a clear level where the prices come down to at the same time on this chart. We have a neckline here, which is this resistance. And if we can get past this triangle formation that I showed you earlier and get up to this level and just shoot past that, we could also be seeing the price target of this MET. Of course, this is complementary to the triangle target that we saw earlier. That would again give us a target of 3.1 cents. So obviously this supports the fact that we could be seeing that falling wedge. Of course, just for preparedness as well, just so you guys know, if we do fall below this trend line down here and we continue heading lower here on Onyxcoin, these are the levels that I'm watching out for as potential supports on the price. Of course, if you are a longer term holder, these are good places to scoop up some more Onyxcoin if you have the money. Of course, the first level of support that I'm looking at, if we lose this 1.37 cents level, is this 1.1 cent level here at the 0.5 fib. If we lose that, next level down for us could be the 0.75 cents level. So two areas where I'm watching for the price to go if we fall below 1.37 cents. Of course, great places to be buying the dip here on Onyxcoin. Of course, very finally, looking at the MACD, we could be seeing a crossover very soon here. Of course, a crossover is when these two lines cross over each other. These provide very strong buy and sell signals when they look something like this, where it's a clear crossover of the two lines. That shows a shift in momentum here on the charts. Of course, the one-day signal is the strongest, and at the moment, we're very close to seeing a crossover from bearish to bullish momentum here on this chart. Of course, when this crossover does happen, that could be a strong buy signal, and it could indicate that we could start seeing bullish momentum here on Onyxcoin and a new trend start to emerge from this downtrend that we've seen for the past month. Of course, just some more reasons why Onyxcoin could be heading higher. So that's my analysis here on Onyxcoin. I am bullish here for Onyxcoin. Of course, we have been in this downtrend and it could last for a few more days, even a week or so. But at some point, we are going to see a reversal. Bitcoin is obviously going to be taking the lead with this next move up. And I think we are going to see a repeat of what we saw with the Bitcoin ETF when that came out at the start of 2024. Everything looked very similar. The sentiment was negative then as well. And the sentiment right now is at 25, which is absolutely ridiculous, given that history is actually being made right now with crypto and the acceptance of it in the US government. So, of course, that's what I wanted to say in this video. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Of course, let me know down in the comments if you are still a holder here of XCN. Of course, if you are a holder, let me know what you thought about the crypto summit. Did you think that was a bullish or bearish event? Of course, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.